6 years ago, I decided to uproot my entire life and follow my intuition. It was the first time in my life that I had no plan. I had a loose plan, get a remote job, and travel. My biggest concern was making money. Looking back, I had many issues around scarcity and lack, especially regarding money. I became a nurse because I knew I would always have a well-paying job. However, becoming a nurse also saved my life. When you work with people at the end of their lives or in the worst possible situation, you realize how important your health and happiness are. Many of my patients instilled wisdom in me, which still affects me. It was also a huge factor in my decision to live as I do now. I am not saying it was easy. It took me over 20 years to realize that I only have one life, no redos, and time is precious. One day I woke up and realized that on my deathbed, I wanted to say I lived a fulfilling life and chased every dream. However, it is not always that easy, and I had to learn a few lessons along the way and get rid of a lot of programming that was no longer serving me. I had a wake-up call that was delivered through the patients that I was taking care of in the hospital. It all started with curiosity. I was curious to find out if people were happy and satisfied with how their lives turned out. I selfishly also wanted advice. At that point in my life, I was unhappy and wondered what was the point of life. I knew it was not to be miserable. There had to be more out there. So I decided to search for the point of life or get some advice. And boy, did I get it. Every piece of advice I received was put into action. And when I was working in the intensive care unit, sometimes the patient that I had asked the advice was no longer there the next day, meaning that they had passed on. This put things into perspective for me. Life is short, life is precious. A few things that I learned along the way, but it took me over 20 years to realize this. I learned to stop putting things off until tomorrow, because tomorrow may never come. When my patients would pass on, it gave me something tangible to hold on to. Even on their deathbeds, patients still had hopes and dreams. Suppose the dream was simply to live another day, for their loved ones to come to visit. Sometimes hope is what got them that far. I'm sure you've heard stories about how a loved one shows up to see their family member when they are dying, and as soon as they show up, the person dies. This does happen. This is a true story. That person will hold on to the hope that they will show up, and when they do, it's a sign that it's okay for them to transition to the next phase. Second lesson I learned, stop seeking external validation. While asking questions, I also sought external validation that I was not going crazy, questioning whether or not my intuition was off. I thought I was somehow broken because I did not want the things that other people wanted. I did not want to be married. I did not want to have kids, and I did not want to work up the corporate ladder. I was seeking validation that what I desired was right. Except, why did I need someone to validate that I was not losing my mind? I also sought validation in other ways. I never left the house without being presentable, head to toe perfect. I had a very strict diet and workout plan. I had to hide the deep sadness that I felt inside. I had no self-love, so I needed others to validate how I looked to make me feel satisfied, if only for a moment. When I stopped seeking approval from others, my life changed. A lot of people in my life also fell off. When I decided to quit my job and travel, people thought I was crazy, but I no longer cared. The next lesson I learned was to stop caring what others think about you. Most people are too busy worrying about themselves to actually worry about what other people are doing. But when you stop and listen to what they are actually saying, They are simply projecting what they lack within themselves. For most of my life, people have criticized me, and now that I look back, I realize it was because they were insecure about that aspect of themselves. It had nothing to do with me. Recently, I have begun to worry about what others think about me. I take a closer look, and it was me. I was criticizing that within myself because it bothered me, not that anyone else was thinking that about me. I looked inward and realized I needed to give myself more love and take time to do things that I enjoy. The next lesson I learned is that self-love is more important than receiving love from those around you. I am learning to live without attachment to the outcome. This is not easy. It is a work in progress, but it's the journey that makes life enjoyable. Next lesson I have learned, it is important to have a purpose in life. For so long I wondered what my purpose was and how I knew it. Then I realized it is living and working toward a goal. The goal doesn't have to be some out-of-this-world purpose. Instead, living, breathing, and eating, that is enough. I don't think there's a huge sign that tells you what your purpose is. Instead, it is something inside you that you desire to achieve. A goal, a dream, something that your intuition is telling you to move toward. There is no big neon sign that tells you your purpose on this earth is blank. It is to live and experience being human. When you are working towards something, it is always more fulfilling than reaching the goal. The struggles of getting there are always what you remember, not crossing the finish line. You remember the pain you felt getting there, the long nights, and the people you met along the way. Have you ever crossed the finish line, reached a goal, and felt satisfied? Usually you get the goal and automatically think, okay, what's next? I also realized that changing what I want to do is completely fine, which many people think is flaky. I think it is life. As we grow, we change. And as we change, so does what we want. So many are afraid to course correct because they feel that they are supposed to do or everyone is expecting me. I call BS. Quit, change, course correct as many times as you need. It's your life. The next lesson I have learned, enjoy the process of life. Do things you enjoy. Instead of focusing on the goal and reaching the goal, I have been focused on getting the process toward the goal. I have so many tasks here on my farm. I may never reach my goals. And that is something that I am learning to love. It's not something that came overnight. I've always been one focused on, okay, I've reached this goal. That's my goal. I must achieve that goal no matter what. Instead, I'm taking a step back, slowing down, and realizing that this is the part that I'm going to remember. This is the part that I'm going to enjoy more than reaching that final end. Do things you enjoy. Life is not meant to be complicated or a struggle. I like to look at life as a game. I'm here to play this character, Avatar, and enjoy the process, since I will not be here forever. The next lesson that I have learned, do not let fear rule your thoughts and take over your life. Sometimes I notice that I'm limiting my thinking or letting fear take over. But then I think about my patients and what they would say at the end of their lives. They would say, if you do not enjoy what you are doing, what is the point of life? The other day I found myself stressed out about money, mainly because I was doing my taxes. I had to remember that I'm simply an avatar playing this game of life. My possibilities are endless. I did not get this far by limiting my beliefs and playing small. I remember that I have a purpose in things that I am working toward, and that is all I need to shift. That is all I needed to shift my mindset from fear to abundance. Did it change anything in my physical life? No, but it made me happy. It made me think about how grateful I am to still be on this earth when so many do not get that opportunity. The next thing I realized, do things that scare you. I think mainly because I have a slightly different life than some people. I live in Colombia, which for some people that is already scary. That doesn't scare me. But sometimes I think about not having a steady income. That scares me. Then I realize who I am. I need to do things that scare me. It drives me to keep going, to see fear and do it anyway. The only true way to freedom is by doing things that keep us scared. I need to move forward and not let what other people think of me keep me stuck. It's been a long road, and I work on it every day, not letting other people's opinion of me or my life affect how I live. When I'm at the end of my life, I want to look back and see that I did it anyway, even when others thought I could not. I do not want to let their fear and projections affect how I live my life and keep me from living my dreams. So I do things that scare me. In turn, it scares other people too, but they're not the ones living my life. It's me. The next lesson I have learned, allow people to leave your life. This has probably been one of the hardest lessons that I have learned. Well, they've all been hard, really. But when you allow people to leave your life that are no longer serving you, it can be difficult. You have attachments to that person, that friendship, that relationship, and you want to hold on to it. But deep down, you know it's not right, and you need to say goodbye. I must accept myself for who I am, not let the external world affect how I live this game of life, and have faith that it will work out. It might not look like how I imagined, but if things were the way I imagined, I would be a completely different person, and who knows what I would be doing.